Hey guys, Tony here. Hopefully you guys are being clean, safe, all that good stuff. I'm in my apartment, I'm not in the studio. Luckily I am able to continue these videos, and with me today though I have the S20, and I quickly want to talk about it because I've been using this phone for 3 weeks to almost a month now. It's been quite some time. I know exactly how I feel about it, so let's go. So when it came to my using though, what I really wanted to focus on is anything that somebody who isn't really a big stickler when it comes to their phones, any changes they would notice in their everyday life by using this device. And a couple things that I definitely noticed myself that were prominent that I want to talk about are definitely going to be the display, it's going to be the front facing camera / cameras, the body, the way it's designed, and the 5G connectivity depending on the carrier that you are with. So I got it in the sky blue color, which if you're interested in seeing this unskinned, I will leave a link up top to my previous video, but I got it in the sky blue. It looks really nice. You get fingerprints a lot, which is why I put a skin on it, and it looks really good in my opinion. It has a 6.2 display with a max resolution of 3200 by 1440. It's really pretty, vibrant as always, viewing angles are really good, and if you notice on the display, the hole punch is now in the center top of the phone, which actually to me looks way better because I actually like that positioning when I had a Galaxy Note 10, and the edges of the phone don't spill over so much the way that the other phones did in the past. So what I mean by that is, you know how Samsung has the edges and the edge display here, and you can put your fingerprints on the side and do some kind of motions with it. Well, the point is it doesn't spill over anymore, and I actually had a problem with it with the Note 10 Plus that I had, because whenever I would grip the phone, I would accidentally do accidental presses here on the side, but with this phone, I actually had way fewer instances of that, which personally for me is a very nice touch. Now, one thing about the body when I got the phone was I thought it was going to be wider for some reason. So when I got it, it feels a lot thinner and taller than the iPhone 11 Pro that I'm coming from. Now, if I put it side by side here, you'll notice that this is definitely taller as well as thinner than the iPhone 11 Pro, which is cool and everything. But then I realized something, that if I get a Galaxy S9 Plus, don't worry about how cracked it is, I know, but if you get the Galaxy S9 Plus and you put this side by side, it's almost as if you have a plus-sized phone, regardless of you not buying the actual S20 Plus model. So keep that in mind. You only get ever so slightly more screen if you get the plus size, but again, this is an S9 Plus and an S20 Plus, so I can't really compare it. But I'm just saying, this is a lot taller than I thought it would be, but overall, it feels nice in the hand. I actually prefer the wideness that the 11 Pro has, because I got used to it, but yeah, it's still good. There is a fingerprint sensor under the display on this phone, which is fantastic. It isn't very impressive, but it's still very good. And the biggest change to the display that I want to get into is the 120Hz display refresh rate. I can't show you on camera just how well it looks, so I definitely recommend you going into a store to test it, but before you make that decision, check it out. You need to do this in 1080p though, because in 1440p you can only do 60Hz, and the way you change that is by going into the settings, into the display section, and actually physically choosing that setting. I never had a phone that had a high refresh rate like this, so this was really nice to use, but there are a couple things that I didn't like that I want to get into. So look, when I got the phone, I told myself I'm going to try the refresh rate at 120Hz, I'm going to change the resolution to see how it affects battery life, and look, let's just be real, when it comes to my testing, I tried in every mode possible. You're gonna get the best battery life when it comes to actually using this phone in 60Hz as opposed to 120, which I mean makes sense. The thing with me though is because I'm someone who wants my phone to last me all day and I want to use it as much as I want without worrying about the battery, I found it more often than not that I turned off the 120Hz if I know I'm going to be a little bit more out and about and not wanting to worry about my phone battery, because when I actually went and used the 120Hz display refresh rate, I realized that my battery life would go from 3.5 hours to maybe at absolute most 4.1. Like I barely hit the 4-hour mark, and it's not horrible. That's like B+, B grade level battery life, but the problem is that when you switch it to 60Hz, you actually can get up to 6 hours, which is what I typically got. And me being me about battery life, that is something I didn't really want to compromise. So when it comes to using the 120Hz display, I found myself more often than not turning it off because I didn't want my battery to be something I worried about. So you have to find the balance. I feel like if you want to use 120Hz, you might want to use it when you're somewhere where there's definitely going to be a charger available to you. But if you're out, you're going on a trip, and you don't want to worry about battery life, I would suggest turning it off, just so you can, have way better battery life. But overall, I mean, look, it's not a horrible thing to use. It's just me being me. I want my battery. So with all that talk about the battery, it has a 4,000 milliamp hour cell, and yeah, it works well, guys. Like the battery life, I'd give it a solid B. Obviously this isn't the Plus model, so it's still pretty good, getting a B for the size. But again, I will say you might want to tinker between 120 Hz and 60. If you find one being more beneficial to you in your everyday use than, having more battery throughout the day. And now let's get into the camera. Now, I'm not someone that worries a lot about my phone camera on my phone because a lot of the cameras nowadays on any flagship and even sometimes on budget phones, they're just so good now that it's kind of hard to really find the difference or to see why one is better than another unless it's something that you genuinely care about. Now, the camera specs for this camera is a 12 megapixel main shooter, a 64 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Now, one good change, and it depends on you and if you like telephoto shots, is the telephoto looks really good now. It has a really nice UI too when you use it. But overall, guys, understand that a lot of this camera is just so good that unless you're literally a pixel peeper or you do this professionally and need the best, settings and changes and grading and everything possible, you're not going to be someone that notices the differences, just like I'm not. Here are a couple photos that I took, and if you notice, they're sharp. Sharp is always all around because that's how Samsung likes to do it, but overall they look great. And that's the thing, I think if you buy this phone, you're gonna have just a great camera, and it's not something I think that you're gonna hesitate using because again, it's so good now. Now, the last thing I want to talk about this phone that really sells it is the 5G connectivity that comes straight out of the box on this. Now, let's be real, this isn't true 5G, meaning you're not going to get those gig download speeds that, true 5G offers, but there is some changes that I do want to mention because I actually noticed it when I used the phone before I really looked in depth into what was going on here. See, on the phone here, when I'm using my data, it says 5G on the top because T-Mobile offers 600 Hz 5G. And like I said, it's not true 5G, but it is way better than the LTE in my area that the download speeds literally improved 5 times more than I had before. Now that is a huge improvement, and I thank T-Mobile for offering that in my area, and everyone's area is going to depend differently and your download speeds will vary, but all I'm saying is it's amazing that you can get that kind of speed on this phone through just your regular data. Okay, so with all that being said, overall, what do I think of the phone? Do I think it's worth the buy? And look, let's be real here. If you buy this phone, there has to be a real selling point for you to want to upgrade, right? So if you're on anything like an S10 Plus, an S10, S10e, Note 10, Note 10 Plus, I don't think it's worth upgrading just yet because there isn't too much of a difference that's going to really make you realize, wow, I've been missing out. But if you have something like an S9, an S8, anything under that kind of generation gap that they have there, yeah, the upgrade is going to be so worth it. It's going to be so apparent. But again, so overall, do I say buy the phone? I say maybe don't, depending on the phone that you currently have. But if you do, it's not going to be anything that wasn't worth the money. It's actually really nice. I'm actually glad I have it, and I think you will like it too. So with that being said though, if you guys have any questions about the S20, leave them down below in the comment section. I will respond, and if there's a good follow-up video that I can make for this phone, I will. I definitely want to mention a little bit more things in an upcoming video, maybe like about the gaming and stuff, the experience that you can do with it, maybe even editing on the phone if you guys are interested in that. But aside from that, again, leave them down in the comment section. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have something to say, leave it down below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And my name's Tony, this is CivilSpider Studios. I don't plan the outros, I just talk, and I'll see you guys in the next one.